video. Okay, so now that I put that up, I'm going to look up in my documents. Hello, Techie. How are you doing today?
Weep.
Well, good morning. I'm trying to open Google Docs, but it's being really silly right now. Here we go. Alright, are you ready for some lore drop for Friendship on Air? Hello, Lightning.
Hello.
Well,
Hello.
we got everybody in here. Alright, this one's the big one. This one's I've been hyped about and ready to talk about since the beginning of this convention. I worked on this one for quite a while.
Hello.
And
Hello.
it has been quite the opportunity to talk about this theory of mine that I've been making since half a year ago, actually. So this one had a lot of research put into it, and I guess we're gonna get started. If
Yes,
has...
and I'd also like to welcome my partner Valky into this call.
Hello, Valky.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, dear. Snuggles.
Let's get started.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Hope you're ready.
So, would you like to fill everyone in who wasn't here before about what this is about?
This is gonna be a theory panel, which I headcanon Star Swirl the Bearded as not the savior, but a menace to society. This just overview. But all right, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna go right into it. If you ever dipped your hooves into Arthurian lore, you know that Merlin isn't just some robe-wearing spellcaster living in a tree giving out quests like a magical Gandalf cosplayer. No. Merlin's a trickster, a prophet, a manipulator, a kingmaker. And if you're taking a hard look at My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, especially at our resident legendary wizard, Starswirl the Bearded, you might start to realize something. Starswirl isn't just Equestria's greatest mage. He might just be the greatest problem. From the beginning, Starswirl was hyped up as the greatest unicorn who ever lived. He created spells, mentored rulers, and literally helped shape the foundations of Equestria. But as the lore got deeper, especially in Season 7's Shadowplay, we find out he made some very questionable choices. 1. He banished the Pony of Shadows without understanding the consequences. 2. He refused to believe in the power of friendship. 3. He left unfinished spells behind, and Twilight literally had to fix this mess in Season 3. And 4. When he brought back to the present, he's cold, dismissive, and even condescending. This is not the cuddly old wizard we were promised. This is a man who buried his mistakes and expected the world to worship him for it. Hello, Internet! Welcome to FIM Theory. So, here's the theory. Starswirl's attitude, his old world thinking, infected the magic of Equestria. His mistrust of others, his rigid belief that friendship isn't magic, and his fear of the unknown created a legacy that even Twilight Sparkle couldn't fully erase. Twilight didn't give up on friendship because of one bad day. She gave up because the system she inherited, the ancient magical framework built by Starswirl, was flawed. She tried to hold the world together with friendship, but deep in magical core of Equestria, the spells were built with mistrust, division, and exclusion baked in, the same magic that separated the Pony of Shadows from Stygian. The same spells that locked friendship into neat little categories. It couldn't evolve. Twilight gave everything to try and fix it, but in the end, By the time G5 rolled around, she realized it had to be torn down. And that, my friends, might be what led us to G5. A world where magic disappeared, only to be rekindled by new ponies, unburdened by the past. From the beginning, Star Swirl was hyped up as the greatest unicorn to ever live. Sure, the posters said so, the legend repeated it, but here's what they don't want you to ask. Who wrote those legends? Well, I have an iota. Star Swirl did. He wrote the books. He crafted the spells. He mentored the rulers. But the truth? He appointed Celestia and Luna, two then unknown alicorns, to take the task of raising the Celestia bodies? Why? Because unicorns couldn't do it anymore. Let's take it back, way back, pre-Equestria. Unicorns were responsible for raising the sun and moon. Sounds noble, right? But it was literal magical labor. A dozen unicorns would line up and pour out all their magic out every day. Some lost their powers forever from doing it. Think about that. Your job is so demanding it depletes your soul. That's not a society, that's a magical sweatshop. So when Star Swirl appears with his two mysteriously gifted alicorns and says, "Hey every pony, problem solved, these two can do it now," did anyone stop and say, wait, how can they do that? Where did they come from? Why do they look different? Nope, every pony just cheered and fell in line. I'm getting lots of pings, so I'm going to put myself into Do Not Disturb, thank you. Alright, so the quiet coronation. And so that's how Celestia and Luna become rulers. They didn't win a battle. They didn't build a kingdom. They just got handed the sun and moon. It's like giving two teenagers the keys to the nuclear reactor and saying, congratulations, you now run the country. But that's right there is where I, your humble theory crafter, draw the line in the sand. Because this story, it's not as simple as two mystery alicorns showing up and magically solving the biggest problem in Equestria's early history. No, my little skeptics, to understand what really happened, we have to go even further back. Before the thrones, before the pillars, before the legends, a time when Star Swirl was just a pony like every pony else. Star Swirl was a unicorn, not a legend back then. He was born without a flowing beard or a page in the history books. He was a scholar, yes, but not quite the mythic founder of modern Equestria. In his early days, he lived in a fractured land of unstable magic, clashing tribes, and a dangerous reliance on raw unicorn spellcasting to control the very cosmic forces that dictated life and death. He saw the burden, he felt the strain, and he watched unicorns burn themselves out day after day, trying to wrangle the sun and moon like glorified weather ponies. That kind of trauma changes a pony. So, what does Star Swirl do? He starts researching the solution. I mean, who's to say Star Swirl didn't experiment with time travel and portals before the pillars were even formed? Short answer? No pony, because the records from that time were either written by Star Swirl, or lost in the ages, or hidden behind magical locks only Twilight can open, but the clues are there. So let's break it down. Remember Season 2's It's About Time? Twilight uses a time travel spell written by none other than Star Swirl. And not just any spell, it's a one-use only limited time paradox loop spell that implies a few things. Star Swirl already cracked the temporal code before he banished the Shadow Pony. He intentionally restricted it, and he never published a safe or repeatable version. Why? Because maybe the timeline had already been fractured once, and only he remembered. Maybe what we call alternate timelines, like the cute remark, aren't just hypotheticals. Maybe they're remnants of Star Wars' early failures. Enter the magic mirrors and dimensional travels. Jump to Equestria, girls. Twilight learns that Star Swirl created a portal to another world. Let's just pause here. Take a breath. Star Swirl invented interdimensional travel. Before the pillars, before Celestia ruled, before there were any established safeguard. And he used it. He visited other worlds. He banished creatures to them. And just like with the Pony of Shadows, he treated exile as a solution. Sound familiar? Yep, It's the same pattern. Experiment, failure, seal away, pretend it worked. So, the Equestria Girls world isn't just some spin-off fun zone. It might be Star Swirl's original test chamber, a place where he tried to reset his mistakes quietly. So let's do the math. Sure, Twilight finds one time spell of his, but think about what we don't see. Why is he so active during the Pillars area? Why does his knowledge always seem to be so slightly too advanced for his time? Simple. He looped. He paused. He reversed. He branched. He was everywhere because he was every when. That's how every he was. He just didn't invent time travel. He used it. Not like Twilight's neat little 60-second peek into the past, more like Doctor Who in a wizard hat, bouncing between centuries, adjusting events like they were furniture in his spell cave. But why keep it a secret? Because if you ever found out that the most revered wizard broke time, opened portals to unstable dimensions, and tried to rewrite history more than once, it would unravel the entire mythos of Equestria. And that's exactly what happened between G4 and G5. The magic didn't just vanish. It collapsed under the weight of secrets. So to every pony who still clutches to the little Star Swirl plushie, I ask, was he a genius or a magical saboteur who tried to erase his mistakes across time and space? Buckle up, folks, because this right here is where the cracks in the timeline stop being theory, it starts to become evidence. So let's go back to the IDW comics for a section. That infamous panel where Star Swirl peers into her mirror and sees Daybreaker, an evil version of Celestia, a tyrant, a fire-wielding, crown-hoarding overlord. Now, you're right to point out the timeline problem. Wait, if Star Swirl saw Daybreaker, doesn't that mean Celestia already existed? Logically, she shouldn't have, because by the lore we're given, Star Swirl helped raise Celestia and Luna after they came into power. So, how does he see a dark version of a ruler who hadn't even been born yet? What if these mirrors aren't actually portals? What if they were windows into alternate timelines, divergent futures, echoes of what could echoes of what could be? Sound familiar? Yeah, Starlight Glimmer did the same thing too. So, when Star Swirl peers into that mirror and sees Daybreaker, he isn't seeing a random nightmare. He's seeing a timeline where Celestia became a dictator, where the sun was used not to warm Equestria, but to burn it into submission. And if we're being honest, that might not be a what if. That might be what was supposed to happen in the original timeline. What if the original flow of the time, the true timeline, wasn't harmony and ribbons? What if the natural outcome of unicorns burning out their magic followed by artificial ascension spells led to the age of Alicorn empires? One ruled by Daybreaker, one enforced by Nightmare Moon, one in which Alicorns were not guardians, but gods. And Star Swirl saw it. He looked through the mirror and realized his work might create two beings who could raise celestial bodies without challenge. Two beings he possibly helped bring into the world through magic, manipulation, or mistake. So what did he do? He seeded the mirror. He changed the course of events. He redirected the timeline. But history, my friends, has a funny way of catching up. Enter G5, the resurgence of the Alicorn Empire. Let's talk Opaline. Let's talk Skyros. Opaline is the G5 Daybreaker in everything but name. Delusions of Grandeur? Check. Fire-themed power set? Check. Believes that she's entitled to rule all a pony kind? Check. And where is she from? Skyros, a place where Alicorns reign, which is canonically where Celestia and Luna were according to G5. And we don't see much of it, but we're told enough. It's a mysterious island and the birthplace of Alicorns, and possibly the last remnant of the timeline Star Swirl tried to erase. What does that mean? That the original destiny of Equestria wasn't unity, it was dominion. Star Swirl hit pause, Twilight hit reset, but the code was still in the system, and by the time G5 rolls around, the old world reboots itself. What's that? You want more evidence? In the Journal of the Two Sisters, Celestia and Luna casually mentioned that Star Swirl raised them as foals. No parents, no homelands, no tribe, just They were raised by a wizard in a castle. Now ask yourself, where did he get them? They weren't born in Camelot. They weren't found in Everfree. They were just there. If Star Swirl made one mirror to access the Equestria Girl's dominion, then why not more? Think about it. Once you're master interdimensional travel, you're building additional gates is child's play. So why not build a mirror to Skyros, an ancient isolated island full of alicorns and primal magic, a place untouched by pony civilization, a place hidden from the tribes, a place where alicorns are a place where alicorns are born, not made. And what if that's where he found them? Because if you were in Star Swirl's shoes for a second, you discover Skyros via a mirror or ancient map. You see a kingdom of natural-born alicorn. You see two young foals, Celestia and Luna. Remember, you have seen these alicorns grow up into something eerie. What would you do? Well, in my opinion, he'd kidnap them. He removes the two youngest heirs, rewrites the story, and raises them as his own students. And that's why they pop up out of nowhere, as his puppets, to build a new future. And the fact that Celestia and Luna themselves don't know the truth just proves how early Star Swirl took them. He erased their memories, he gave them a purpose, and he called it destiny. But it was designed in fear from Star Swirl. He doesn't panic because Celestia and Luna are strong. He panics because they're too strong. He sees the rise of Daybreaker, the fall of Nightmare Moon, entire civilizations reduced to ash and silence under Celestia tyranny. And then he realizes something devastating. If the timeline proceeds naturally, the world would burn. So what does he do? He doesn't confront them, he doesn't stop them, and he doesn't even teach them the truth. He programs them. He tells them, you were chosen to raise the sun and moon. He doesn't say, I stole you from a hidden alicorn empire and cut you off from your birthright. He doesn't say, you are meant to rule, but I feared of what you would become. Instead, he rebrands them. Not queens, but caretakers. Not conquerors, but symbols. Not deities, but dutiful sisters playing their part. He rewrites their destiny. And now we come all the way back. The cost of the lie. The thing about pretending, eventually someone notices the cracks. And what are those cracks? Luna still became Nightmare Moon. Banished for 1,000 years despite being raised by Star Swirl, despite his knowledge of timelines, magic, and ancient evils. And the question becomes, why didn't he stop that? Why didn't Star Swirl the Bearden, with all his time, spells, portals, and god-tier spellcraft, fix the one thing he saw coming? Well, he was in limbo with a shadow pony, but other than that, he picked the one with the least amount of problems, not the one with the most harmony. Because harmony requires work, it's messy, it demands accountability, growth, truth. But a timeline where Luna falls, where Celestia reigns solo, where every pony stays in their assigned role, you guessed it, Star Swirl, because in that mirror which Star Swirl, an alicorn role was never meant to be peaceful. Alicorns were never meant to be passive. They were meant to lead, to dominate. Skyros knew that, openly remembers that, and only Star Swirl refused to accept it. So he tried to redirect the flow. Let them rule, but not truly. Let them lead, but never ask them to question why. Let them think that they are guardians and never gods. But time, like truth, wants us to correct itself. So, now he asks, did Star Swirl prevent a dictatorship, or did he delay it by wrapping it in a bow? When we look at Celestia and Luna now, what do we see? Two powerful beings, shaped by fear. Two rulers, never allowed to be their true selves. Two gods, trained to be stage actors, in a kingdom built on hope and haunted by prophecy. And the scariest part? What happens when the next alicorn who grows up and refuses to play along? Her name is Opaline Arcadia, and she's not just a villain, she's the remnant of the rejected reality. So we know that from G5, Opaline claimed that she was abducted by other alicorns. Hang on, I don't know where I remember writing this down. I remember one thing. She escaped her reality very messily. What if Opaline didn't just flee Skyros? She broke out of it. We already know Skyros is mysterious and disconnected from Equestria. It may not just be an island, it could be a pocket dimension, a sealed alicorn domain, cut off by Star Swirl or ancient magic to keep the rest of the world safe. And Opaline, she shattered the seal. She forced her way into the timeline, and she brought war with her, and the ways of an alicorn should present itself. You ever wonder why Equestrias fell apart between G4 and G5? One day, magic was thriving, the next, gone. Friendship, fragmented. History, lost. And the only hint we get, Twilight used to rule, but something happened. That something was the Prism War, a magical conflict between Opaline and Twilight Sparkle, one that shattered the harmony of the land, forced Twilight to seal away magic, and erased the truth to protect future generations. Twilight didn't vanish, she just chose silence, because Opaline wasn't just another threat, she was the embodiment of the timeline Star Swirl tried to bury. And here's the chilling part, maybe Opaline was right. She wasn't lying when she said alicorns were destined to rule, because in her reality, the original one, the natural one, the Skyros timeline, they did. Alicorns weren't Harmony mascots. They were empresses, overseers of time, natures, and civilization itself. So, when she sees Equestria being run on friendship and equality, she doesn't see weakness, she sees treason against her birthright. Twilight tried to beat her by becoming her. So to stop Opaline, Twilight might ascend it higher, trapped into raw magic, use prism energy to lock Opaline away, and in doing so, burning through the magic of the world itself. The Prism War didn't end Opaline, it ended everything. Twilight's last act wasn't a friendship lesson, it was containment. So the next time Opaline monologues about her destiny, don't roll your eyes, because maybe she's not delusional. Maybe she's just not a Saturday morning villain. Maybe she's the last believer of the true nature of alicorn power. And who do we have to thank for all of this? The wars, the lies, the shattered magic, the broken timelines. Star Swirl the Bearded. That's right, the legend, the father of magical arts, the mentor of rulers, the hero of Equestria, or as history should remember him, the architect of the greatest cover-up in pony history. And when truth clawed its way back in the form of Evelyn, he wasn't there, because Star Swirl's greatest magic wasn't teleportation, wasn't portals, wasn't time travel, it was plausible deniability. So the next time you're in a dusty library, you scroll signed with a swirly S, ask yourself, is this a spell or a confession? Because the Prism War, the fall of Twilight, the rise of Opaline, that was no accident. That was Star Swirl's legacy. But hey, that's just a theory. A FIM theory! Thanks for tearing off the beard with me. I will now take questions. Thank you. So, any questions about what the theory was? And what you have questions about?
Nope. Not a question, but that was really good. Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, you can comment that was really good. You can say what your favorite part was. Alright, any questions from the audience at all? We do have a few minutes before the next convention. Or, sorry, the next panel.
No questions here.
It starts in about 30
not
minutes.
here.
Yeah, about 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Sorry, I couldn't get through earlier. I had to change computers.
Oh, that's okay. That's why we record all our panels so you don't miss a single thing.
And I'm just checking for my panel next week. I don't have to run OBS on my system. I can just stream on Discord because.
Yep.
All right, because OBS overloads one of my computers.
Yeah.
Because it can't do hardware encode.
Oh, what's going on?
All right,
I'm just discussing what I need to do to stream my stream next week.
Yeah. Okay. Well, any questions about the theory? Because I love to nerd out about this stuff.
I loved it.
Thank you. Well, I suppose no one has any questions for me. Going once.
I wasn't actually forgot.
Sorry, we can't understand you, son. Could you please speak up? You can even write it if you can't. Anyway, I've always wondered why the connection of G4 and G5 is just so sudden, and then you think about what alicorns are at different timelines, and then just this whole entire theory just came together. Because if you remember, Opaline came from a alicorn kingdom where everyone thought they were the empresses, and then the goody two-shoes, according to her, Celestia and Luna, I forgot what the G5 episode was, but basically, in her eyes, they were just goody two-shoes and everybody loved him.
Alone Alcorn?
Yeah, they were born alicorns in Skyros. Star Swirl, quote-unquote, raised them. So how do I explain naturally occurring alicorns? Probably genetics, and the right amount of genetics, and that's an entire theory, entirely one that
yes, actually, that has actually happened in my OC's lore, by the way, with him and his wife. They had a child, and their child is an alicorn by genetics.
There you go.
Pony alicorn and unicorn.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
I am really excited that I got to share with that. I actually had to cut my script too. I actually had to cut my script to be on time. I didn't have time to say everything.
The autism took over when writing the script, huh?
I had more to say too.
Who has joined the call?
Hello, Maddie.
Hey, it's Maddie. Welcome.
It's ending.
Yeah, sorry, Maddie. You just missed the whole explanation thing.
But don't worry, you'll be able to see this in the next recording in a replay. And I'll see you next time in about 30 minutes. But until then, drink some water, migrate with the ponies, and just try to make a friend.
Yep. Stay hydrated. Eat something while you have the chance. It's I'm assuming in America, so some of you it's currently nearing lunchtime.
It is.
Or maybe for our European audience, it is lunchtime.
Well,
anyway, I'll see you in about 30 minutes. Take a water break.
Yep.
just coming on and see ya.
See ya.
Take away around there, take away around there, take away around and around.